And I won't touch anything.
Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's the personal development podcast for authors, entrepreneurs, and career professionals who are looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday.
It is a happy Monday.
It is Monday again.
Yes, it is. Monday comes around pretty fast, doesn't it?
Amazing.
Yep. This is episode number 109.
Man, before you know, we be at episode like 7,000 or something, man.
Exactly.
My goodness.
Exactly. I tell you, that time is going. Wow. Shout out to Anissa Freeman Jones, also known as AK Free, who just joined us and commented. Good evening to you.
Good
Thank
evening.
You for watching us. All right. And we've got an outstanding guest once again. We're going to give her a formal introduction in a second, but she is hailing from Toronto, Canada. All the way from Toronto, Canada. So she's going to definitely share some valuable insights, and you're going to hear her inspirational story. And if you've got challenges and you're saying, oh, you know, I can't accomplish this because I've got that, or I've been diagnosed with this, she's going to take away all of your excuses. After this interview, you're going to say, look, I'm just going to go ahead and do this thing. You know, I'm going to stop playing. I'm going to stop playing around. I'm going to stop messing around. I'm going to go ahead and do this thing. That's going to be your response after this interview, after you hear what she has to share. But as you can tell, this is not your everyday podcast.
No, it is not.
You know, maybe we should have warned Carolyn backstage, but this is not your everyday podcast. We do things different.
Totally different.
On the 30-minute hour podcast. You know, you're watching us right now. Those of you watching us live, you're watching us on Facebook. We're also broadcasting on LinkedIn and YouTube. But then we record this and it gets broadcast on iTunes and Apple Podcasts or wherever else you like your podcast. We also shout out to those of you who are watching us on Instagram, on the 30-minute hour Instagram page. Shout out to those of you who are watching me there right now. And don't forget to share the show. If you get value, don't keep us a secret.
Share
it. Don't keep it to yourself.
Share with your friends.
Absolutely. Got to share. I want to make a couple of comments about the What Now movement, and then we'll get into the meat of our show today. Make sure you go to the What Now movement Facebook group. Today is Marketing Monday, and everybody is sharing their YouTube channel. So go on the What Now movement Facebook group. We'll let you in. Then you can actually post your link for your YouTube channel, and we will subscribe. And who knows, you're going to have 1 million followers after this. It's going to be a life-changing day for you. Make sure you go to Marketing Monday in the What Now. Ted, we're just trying to help the people, right?
Trying to help them win. That's what you're
trying to help them win. Just trying to help you win on a Monday. All right. Well, good stuff. So, Ted.
Yes, Eric.
I've got something that's on my mind.
Please share, Eric.
All right. So today I want to talk to you about the starting point of your success. That's right. The starting point of your success. So the question is, what is the starting point of your success, right? That's the question. That's the theme of the show, the starting point of success. And as I think about this question, I'm reminded there's this video series that's out there. And it's done by Dr. Roddy Ferguson. He wrote this great book, Coffee with Roddy, Herculean Conversations with an Olympian. Definitely check out the book, watch the video series. It's called Coffee with Roddy. But in one of his videos, he tells the story of his quest to make it to the Olympic Games in the sport of judo. Right. So every day he would look in the mirror and say to himself, I'm going to the Olympics. He would take out a 3x5 card and he'd write, I'm going to the Olympics. He created this poster with a picture of the Olympic circles. Written under the caption were the following words, I'm going to the Olympics. So several months later, his wish came true. He went to the 2000 Olympic Games. There was one small problem. He went to the game as a spectator, not as a competitor. And since he didn't make the team, he had to purchase a ticket and pay his own way. So where did he go wrong? Why didn't he get what he really wanted? What was he missing? Okay, so this is the part of the program where you just need to, if you're driving right now, you just need to pull over to the side of the road, right? If you're in the gym, if you're listening to us in the gym, you just need to press pause on the treadmill. Anything else, Ted?
Put the ham sandwich down. You got a ham sandwich that you're nibbling on right now. It's time to put it down because it's about to get good.
Okay. So here it is. The question on the floor is, what was he missing? And what does this have to do with you? Here's what he was missing. He was missing clarity. That's right. Because clarity is the starting point of your success. Right. Let me say it again for the Instagram folks. Clarity is the starting point of your success. I mean, his goal wasn't clear. He just said he wanted to go to the Olympics. But I am happy to report that this story does have a happy ending, because he set a more specific goal of competing in the Olympics. He said, I want to compete in the Olympics. And in 2004, he represented Team USA in the games that were held in Athens, Greece. So that's the takeaway. Clarity is the starting point of success. I bring this up because our guest today, she helps her clients get to the starting point of their success by gaining clarity of vision. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. She overcame a learning disability and earned a psychology degree in early childhood and an early childhood diploma, and became a certified family mediator. She had a strong vision to do more, so she founded Supermom Entrepreneur, an online community with a successful conference titled I Am the Boss. That's right, I Am the Boss, and it ran for 5 years. When a car accident nearly killed her and her 2 daughters, she realized that this was her wake-up call to do even more. Her burning desire to help other professionals overcome their challenges and get clear on their vision and goals led her to create the highly successful executive coaching, training, and speaking business she owns today. So please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour podcast, Carolyn Dickinson.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful introduction.
Carolyn.
I'm here. Ready to go.
That's right.
All right, Carolyn, it's truly an honor to have you on 30-minute hour podcast today. Let's roll back the clock. Let's go back to your childhood. What did you want to be when you grew up?
You know, interestingly enough, I really wasn't sure. Having a learning challenge can make it really difficult, especially at 51 years old. In those days, they really didn't have a support system for learning challenges. And in many arenas, they didn't really understand what it was all about. So, you know, I went through the different things. At one point, I thought I was going to be a police officer. I was going to do all these different things. I wanted to be a nurse. And then I saw what you had to do as a nurse and thought, that's not for me. So there's a lot of different things that went through my head. But one of the reoccurring dreams, and you and I were talking about this, Eric, when we first met, is that I was going to be on stage somewhere speaking. I didn't know what I was speaking about. I didn't know why I was there. But there was something I needed to share with other people to help them do what they needed to do. And that was just a dream I had over and over again. Still no clarity around it for a very long time. But I also had the burning desire to run my own business. But due to the challenges, learning challenges I was experiencing, I wasn't really encouraged to do much more. It was find something you'll be good at. It's okay, find something that's safe. And it just didn't sit well with me. But, when people don't understand or they don't have an education around it, which many people didn't at that time, they try to do their best, and their best just wasn't enough for me. So I was very blessed. There was a point in time in my life after high school when I thought, that's it, I'm done. No more education. I was a D student. I was told that I wasn't going to go anywhere and that I wasn't smart and that my life was just, basically I felt like, oh my God, my life is over. But there was one amazing woman who was a counselor at my high school, and she said, Carolyn, you are too smart. I'm like, really? Where have you been the last 4 years?
Right.
She said, no, you're going to college. And I go, okay, I don't have the marks to go to college, so I don't even know how I'm going to college. She said, we're going on a road trip. We're going to Centennial College, which is one of the colleges here. She walks into the office, registrar's office, walks up to a gentleman by the name of Trevor Massey and looked at him and said, you need to register in her college. And he said, okay. And I went, like, what? I'm sorry. What kind of fairy godmother are you? What did you what does he owe you? I thought what's the deal here? How did you do this? And like that, I was registered in college. And then she walked me over to a counseling office and introduced me to Dave Robertson. And the reason I will never forget these names is because they saved my life. They changed my life forever. And Dave had become an expert in working with people with learning challenges. And as I was sharing with Eric, you have to think of it this way. The average person thinks like this. Someone with a learning challenge thinks like this. And so what you need to do is, depending on their learning challenge, is to understand the path of which information needs to be presented for them to receive it and be able to use it. And that was a big learning point for me in my life, because I started to realize that I also needed to be educated on that, so that I didn't put up with anybody telling me that I couldn't do something, because that just wasn't going to sit well with me. And all of this really gave me the excitement, the energy, the realization that possibility was everywhere for me and everyone else I was ever going to meet. Because if I can do it, anybody can do it. And that's how I truly felt about it. And it was interesting because the first year I still did horrible in college. I did absolutely horrible. And it was taking the same courses. They were hoping it would upgrade my marks, and it didn't. But I realized there was something I wanted to do, because at that time, I really loved working with children. I thought children were amazing. I still do. I have 2 of my own. But it was really about their innocence and their ability to look at the world in such perfect eyes with no judgment, no anything, until they're taught all this stuff from wherever. And it was an opportunity to really support kids in realizing anything is possible. And I didn't have the marks. And so I had a chat with Dave, the counselor, and he said, Carolyn, you're a good talker. I said, yeah. He says, I want you to go talk to Carolyn Warburg, the head of the department, and tell her why you should be in her course. I went, I could do that. He's like, why not? I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I booked the call, sat up in her office, and pleaded my case. And within 24 hours, I was in the course, and I was a D student. And you needed a B to get into her course.
Wow.
So it's amazing. And I think that was one of the very first moments I truly realized that anything is possible when you're determined and you want something. It also led for me to really start helping others. And, Dave would take me on talks to high schools, not just for the students, but for parents and teachers who had no concept of what was truly possible for their children who are experiencing learning challenges, and started to realize there was a solution, and that they didn't have to give up on their kids. They could have whatever life they wanted. I mean, oh my God, how many successful entrepreneurs have dyslexia, which is what I have. And so it was amazing, because there'd be 3 people on stage talking, and everybody would line up to talk to me afterwards. So obviously I had the gift of gab. And the stories I would tell weren't all about the sadness. It was really about what they could do. And yeah, it's going to be hard. And yeah, there's challenges. There's challenges in everything. It's all over. If you're not being challenged, then why bother, right? Like, seriously. And so I went on to university afterwards to do my psychology, which I also never thought was going to be a possibility. And also, too, the head, Mark, of the counseling department would take me out on talks. He goes, would you do it with us too? I heard you did it at college. I'm like, sure, why not? And same thing. It was that amazing experience that people started to realize that there was the opportunity for their kids to go to college and university, and there was support systems in place to guide them and help them to be able to get an education to support them in doing whatever they wanted. Right.
I want to interrupt you real quick here. So
Sure.
you said something that I think people may have missed. You said anything is possible when you're determined, right? Because it would have been easy to say, well, look, I don't have the grades, but you just kept persisting, and then all of a sudden help showed up. And so I want to ask you, and we talked about this off air, a lot of these successful CEOs and entrepreneurs suffer from dyslexia. I mean, Richard Branson, Les Brown, a lot of household names. Like, there's a high percentage of successful entrepreneurs that are dyslexic. Like, why do you think that is?
Well, how do I think, I can't remember how I said it in a very simple form, but we just think differently. When you have a learning challenge, you have to learn different ways and tricks to keep going and keep up with everybody else. And at that time, because I wasn't taught all the ways to do things, I had to create my own. And so what happens is it really forces you. Oh, now I remember what I said. It really forces you to think outside the box. Mm-hmm. You don't actually have a choice, because thinking inside the box just doesn't work for you. Now, the hard part is sometimes you need to be shown that it's okay to think outside the box, that it's okay to take a look at things in a different way. And I think that's what led me into doing everything that I'm doing now and the way I work, because, you and I were also chatting in my business. It's amazing how quickly my mind works. And it would be, someone would start telling me about their dream or what it is they want to accomplish. And I can usually tell within 30 minutes, one, if we should work together, and two, if this is going to be a success. And then the next decision is, are you willing to do the work? Because my brain works, you tell me something, I can see it. I'm 30 steps ahead like that. It really happens that fast for me. And I attribute a lot of that to the fact that I did have to think differently. I did have to look at things differently if I wanted any kind of success. Some of it I did instinctively. Some of it I was taught. Some of it was just getting by, right? Like, you just got to figure out, what do I got to do not to be embarrassed in class? And it was amazing, because part of dyslexia is the inability to read or look at words and actually remember them, especially when it came to silent letters and vowels. It was quite the mix-up of dilemma in your brain. How do I put this all together? And so I would actually sound out words, read ahead. If I knew my time was coming up, I would read an entire paragraph within seconds ahead of time and sound out all the words prior to my time of having to actually read out to the class, so I wouldn't be embarrassed. Right? Because even in those days, kids were cruel. Right? Oh, you can't read. So it was always trying to find ways to make sure nobody identified what I was struggling with. And so that really forced me, as I said, to think outside the box. And when you think outside the box, I truly think anything is possible.
It's interesting, because all of those people we just mentioned, that's what they weren't doing what everybody else was doing, right? They didn't approach their business with, and maybe that, I never heard it explained that way, but I think that's key to really think outside the box. And that's awesome. So if you could go back to that time, those childhood years, knowing what you now know, what advice would you give to yourself?
Don't listen to what everybody else has to say. Because that, I think, is one of the hardest things that we deal with, even now today. There's always going to be dream killers. There's people that don't understand what you're going through, and they think they're doing you a favor by telling you, don't waste your time. Don't do it. It's going to be too hard for you. And there's even naysayers now. Oh, don't waste your money. Oh, just find something that's easygoing. Who said I want easy? I never said I wanted easy. I want to work with ease. But if there's not a challenge for me, then where's the fun in it? I don't want to be challenged for the rest of my life. I don't want to have difficulties, But a challenge means, and I have a lot of really amazing mentors, and I know you're going to come to this conversation later, but in the I Am the Boss conference, I was very blessed to meet some incredible women who started something from their homes and turned them into multi-million-dollar corporations. And one of those ladies, Ruthie Bird, who is the founder of Lunch Lady here in Canada, she said to me one day, became my mentor. I remember calling her just completely stressed out one day, going, oh my God, I feel like the whole world's coming down and one problem after another. She goes, Carolyn, she's a business shark, but has the sweetest, calmest voice you will ever find. Carolyn, I'm going to tell you this, and this is the lesson I learned. Challenges need solutions. You will become the best solution finder in your life. And that is what is going to grow your business. So don't worry about the problem. Just think about what you're going to do to fix it and be really good at fixing things. And I went, it just like took away all my stress. I'm like, oh my God, am I making it harder on myself than it needs to be? And so I realized so is everybody else.
So you said challenges need solutions.
That's right.
Wow.
And so we just have to become really good at finding the solutions. And that forces you to also think outside the box, because the solutions aren't always going to be in front of you. They're somewhere over here. You just got to be willing to step back and take a look to see what are the solutions and then narrow it down to what's the best one. Because there's always a solution.
But it's interesting. I think as entrepreneurs, though, do you ever get to this point where it's like you're always like because you're programmed to think like that? Like when other people say things to you about whatever, you just start thinking of a solution for them.
Sometimes. I have learned to not do that as much. I have learned that it's best not to sometimes give my opinion unless directly asked. And then I've also learned to go, do you want me to tell you what I really think, or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear right now? Pick carefully. Like I always tell people who interview me, be careful what you ask, because I will answer within reason, obviously, but I will answer and I'll tell you the truth. So be careful. And that's the thing is, I think at the foundation of everything, it's the truth, and it's being very frank with people, but in a way that isn't hurtful. So when, I was like that when I first started out, honestly, like I could fix everything, but you start to realize that the only way that you can actually provide a solution or support someone in finding that fix for whatever it is they got to want to hear it. And if they're not ready to hear it, and I do this with my clients, they'll say something, we'll go through something and then I'll come up with a solution 2 months down the road. And they'll say to me, why didn't you tell me that before? I go, because you weren't ready. And they'll go, you're right, I wasn't. If you had said that to me 2 months ago, I probably would have been pissed at you. And I said, yeah, because you have to be ready to hear what I have to say. And if you're not, I got to get you there. And if I don't get you there and I say it, I'm going to block you. And then everything we do is going to be a waste of time after that. People have to be open to receive. Like even when I'm, for example, if we had a question answer, and I've done this before, and somebody comes up and says something, the first thing I'll say is, are you open to coaching right now? Because if they don't say yes, then I'm not going to answer. But most people say yes, but what they don't realize is the impact that the words that you say have on your body, your cells, your brain, and your ability to receive information. And so when you can ask somebody, it's like me saying, Eric, are you coachable? Are you willing to be coached right now? And if you say yes, you're now going to be much more open to hear what I have to say versus me just coming in and giving my opinion because I'm Carolyn Dickinson, an executive coach. Who cares? Like, really, who cares?
And the challenge is a lot of people have issues with authority, right? Yes,
I do.
And so when you start giving, if I just start giving you advice, hey, Carolyn, you should think, what? Who is he? What does he know? You're not the boss of me.
Exactly. What the heck do you know? No, it's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thing is always, can I make a suggestion?
Yes. Yeah. That's another thing too, right?
Yeah.
That's a great way to say it is, would you like a suggestion for that?
Yeah. Can I make a suggestion?
It's even like, would you like one? Because it's like, maybe they don't. Like there's times, and I've learned that too. Somebody's like, can I give you a suggestion? Not right now. we'll do that later. Like, I just need to get through what I'm doing. Okay, now give me the suggestion. I'm actually ready to receive it now.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this Supermom Entrepreneur and the I Am the Boss conference. Like, what inspired you to start this?
So when I started Supermom Entrepreneur, I was the mom at home. And it's interesting because what I was doing already was I was working in the direct marketing industry for years. I knew a very long time ago when I had wanted children, because I'd been in the corporate world and I'd seen what so many people had to deal with for an entrepreneur versus in a job or career or corporate. And I wanted to be there for my kids because my mom was always able to be there. She took the summers off. And that's because she had a boss who needed her badly. And so he would do whatever she wanted. And I wanted to make sure I had those choices to be around with my kids. I didn't want someone else taking care of my kids. Now, listen, this is no judgment on anybody who's listening. We all do what we have to do. It was a choice I wanted to make. And I was looking at building my life and my business around that ability. So I looked into the direct marketing industry because I thought it's a great way to learn and understand how to be a business owner, what to do. And I've been very successful in many of the companies that I joined, and did change things around, different times. But I think a big part of it all was I was sitting and was helping a lot of moms or pregnant women too, that were in our organizations that wanted to eventually be able to stay home, not go back to corporate world, wanted to spend more time with their kids, but needed to bring an additional income into their household. And so what I ended up doing was starting to coach women on how to set up their systems and how to structure their business and, when to leave their job. Like, you don't want to just, if you need that extra income, just leave your job and hope your business is going to work. So there was a whole system and structure I laid up around that for myself and for other people that were coming into the business. So they understood what they had to have financially, prepare, how many clients, what is the turnover, they knew all the facts about the business and what they would need to do to have that kind of success to be able to walk away, or what we used to say, fire your boss, and make that choice. And so I would put all that together, and I was talking to someone, and funny enough, at the time I was pregnant with my second child when all this was happening. And one of my colleagues said, you should charge for this. Like, you give amazing advice. You understand what's going on. You should actually charge people for your advice. And it took me a little while for that to sink in and really understand what they were saying to me, because I'm that person. If you ask me something, I'll help you, right? Within reason. And I went home that night and started thinking about it. And I went, I need to do something about this. And that's actually where that's where Supermom Entrepreneur came from. So I built an online platform that would support entrepreneurial women. And when I first started it, there wasn't a lot out there at the time. A lot came afterwards, a lot of other organizations doing the same thing, but it was really learning how to provide them with information, to do, eventually events, which was the I'm the Boss conference, to really show women that anything is possible for them. And there was a lot of women who were in corporate, would stay home, and then want to go back to work and think, I got to go back to school. I need to learn all this new stuff. No, we have this amazing thing called the internet. And within half a day, you could probably catch up on everything you missed and then go apply for a job, right? Or if you didn't want to do that, like I had one lady that was in PR, and she's like, I don't want to do PR. I have 2 kids. I don't want to be gone at night. I go, okay, what's the parts that you like of PR? We made a big long list. I go, what's the parts you don't want to do? We made a list. It was shorter. I said, great. Well, you could do all of this from home, hire someone as a partner or as a staff person, teach them how to do this part. They go out and do it, and you guys work together. She goes, I can do that? Yeah. And that's when the coaching thing started to hit me and realize there needs to be some support here. So I ran I Am the Boss conference after starting Supermom Entrepreneur and realizing I wanted to do more. Started the I Am the Boss conference, ran it for 5 years. And the interesting thing was I got some of the most amazing women, I'll say most of them are Canadian, that would come on the stage. One was from the US, and really share not just their successes, but the rule of thumb was if you were on my stage, you had to share your challenges and what you found the solutions, how you found the solutions for them. Because I truly believe that that is the key to a successful business, is understanding what the challenges are and that there are solutions out there. It's also the thing that's going to excite people going, oh, if she did it, I can do it. And that was the whole goal and emphasis around what I wanted to accomplish, is for women to realize just because you stayed home with your kids did not mean you couldn't choose another career path, start a business, do all these incredible things. Your brain isn't gone. It's just been asleep for a little while. Let's wake it up, get on the internet, figure out what you want to do. And that in itself, you need guidance, right? Like you just feel sometimes overwhelmed. And I'm speaking as a mother of two, what I went through, and I totally understand it. And so that's where all of this came from, was really to empower women. And the interesting thing was, and Eric and I spoke about this as well. So it was funny because I was told, one, I wouldn't be able to run this conference. Two, I wouldn't be able to get women on stage that would speak for free. And I wasn't going to get those kind of quality women on my stage. I went, really? Okay. And I went out and did it. My first conference, and I got my keynote speaker was Ruthie Bird. That's how I met her, from The Lunch Lady, multimillionaire. I told her what I was doing. I only had maybe 50 people in the room. She goes, I love you. I love what you're doing. I love your energy. I'm there. She took a day off to come to my conference. And I had other women. And then I grew from there. And I kept sharing what we were doing and what our goal was. And the energy I guess I had with it, I kept getting incredibly successful women coming on stage. I said, look, I don't have a budget, but here's what we can do. Here's what we'll do to promote you. It was about the marketing. It was about creating win-win situations where they saw the value of coming and really sharing their stories. And I made sure, because I used to run trade shows internationally for other companies in the corporate world, my events were set up well. They were done very well. And that's where the organization Eric comes in, and a little bit of an OCD part of me that comes in. And it was amazing because I had people say, I run some amazing events, and I even had other event organizers copy me in a lot of the things I did. And people are like, aren't you upset about that? I'm like, heck no. Why would I be upset? I just got to take it to the next level next year. And I did that for 5 years. And then I realized what's after that. And that's when I really launched the coaching and the speaking, which I love to do, and just all the other stuff. And I realized too, I wasn't really meant to do the events. There was some things going on that started to make me really realize there was more that I was supposed to be doing. And so I did that transition. We had a great time for 5 years, a lot of stress, but it really led me into understanding that the speaking and the coaching was where I needed to go. And it was where I could give more impact and really support people in getting where they wanted to go on the highest level. And that's what I wanted. And that's what excited me. So that's kind of the journey I took to get where I'm going. And I guess I'm getting on those stages and sharing with people. And that was the dreams I had when I was a kid, when everybody was telling me that I wasn't going to ever do any of the stuff that I'm doing right now.
It's interesting. So they were and I'll let you jump in. I see you trying to jump in. They were telling you when you were a kid you couldn't do it. You go to this conference, they're telling you. So when you get to the conference, now you're like, I know I can do what I put my mind to because I did this. I got to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. Anissa put in comments, and I know she's an educator, and she said all it takes is one educator to have a major impact.
Yeah.
It sounds like that one person that said, hey, you can go to college, and after that everything was just like, hey, you can get this well-known established speaker to be a part of your conference. Like, you could do this. And at that point it was like, why not?
That's right. It really is. And thank you, Anissa, for sharing that. But you're right. It's that one person that can really look you in the eyes and say, you are way smarter than you realize you are. And you can do this. And you're going to find a way. And I'm going to start you off on that way. And then it's up to you. And, really at the end of the day, it really is up to us. And I think because I was given that opportunity, I went, let me see what I can do with this, because I know in my heart I'm supposed to do more. And trust me, I'm being really kind about the way I'm saying things. I had people tell me that I was stupid, that I would never succeed in life. You're stupider than I thought you were. What I had a teacher in those days, and Nisa's going to cringe when she hears this. I was told I was a waste of space by a teacher, and he's not even sure why I'm alive. Right? So I've just shocked everybody. But the interesting thing was that didn't actually bother me coming from him, because he was quite an arrogant, ignorant person. And I stood up to him several times, and that's why he didn't like me. So that was his way of getting back. So it didn't really bother me. But the thing about it is that when kids say that people say this kind of stuff, even nowadays they do. They just make sure no one else hears. And that's what bothers me. It also made me become an advocate at my daughter's school and CSAC chair, and making sure that everybody knew who I was. So I was like, I am not going to see this ever happen to another kid as long as I'm alive, and it's a possibility. And I even have done with many charities, gone out to share my story with kids to realize, listen, you can do anything. And, you know, even as a female, I'm 5'11", almost 6 foot. Let me tell you the amount of challenges I had because of that. You know, I even had a gentleman tell me one time at an airport when I was heading to a conference in corporate, "You are too beautiful to be that smart. It's such a waste." Like, pardon? What? Thanks for sharing. But what do? You just laugh, because it's such an ignorant statement that I had to laugh. But it was a great story to share afterwards, let me tell you. And I think because of all the support I had, created a level of confidence in me to be able to brush that off my shoulder and go, you're one of those people. Oh, well, good for you.
So you have some amazing stories that came out of the conference. I mean, these ladies that started with nothing, that are now millionaires, $1 million businesses. Talk about that.
Well, I was really blessed. One of the ladies I got to interview, that actually came as a keynote as well, was Julie Cole. She is one of 4 founders of Mabel's Labels. And that is a company here in Canada. Actually, I think it's in the States now too, because she went online. So it is labels for the inside of your clothing. She studied to be a lawyer. She has 6 kids. And then I think the whole, the whole thing around the labels was she had a lot of kids, and getting everything in order, and her sister and her aunt and her sister-in-law all kind of came into business together, and also had a lot of children. So they started making their own labels. The neighbors started to hear about it. This is a short version of her story, but the neighbors started to hear about it, and they started to realize, this could be a business. Well, they turned it into an international business. Julie Cole has been the face of the company, going out doing interviews all over the place. Phenomenal approach, the way, and talked about partnerships and working with other partners. Very intelligent woman, amazing lady. I still see her. And they actually sold it to Avery, and don't quote me on this exactly, but I think it was 3 years ago for $4 million, something like that. And I think the others retired, and she continued on. I believe she's still the face, working with Avery, unless that's changed in the last year. And maybe it has, with everything going on. But she stayed on for a little while to keep promoting and pushing Mabel's Labels, and she still talks about it. I actually use them for my kids. It's great, especially for school. They come with little tags, all these great things with your kids' names on them. And so she took an idea they had and did in their basement into a multi-million-dollar company with her partners. Right. And so to be able to share that kind of story, and the thing I learned about all the women that came to my stage is that all of it was an idea, a simple idea, or something was missing in the industry or in their life, or something that was in their life needed to be improved upon. And so they took it in their hands to do so, and they found a way to take it to the next level. Tanya Thompson is, and I'm hoping I'm not getting her last name incorrect. Forgive me, Tanya, if you ever hear this, but she used to import tea because she loved tea. And some of the neighbors started asking for her tea. Where'd you get it? So she started importing for other people. And the long and short of it was she turned it into a direct marketing company. And at first it wasn't doing very well. And I guess her and her husband had a chat. This is a story she shares. And he says, "You're in the red. So, maybe we should shut it down." She goes, "No, give me one more year." Well, not only did she turn it around and completely go in the black, she also went on Dragon's Den, got an investor, turned it into an international company, and now has since then added other food products to to the menu of what she does in importing teas, and is doing extremely well. Right. So again, basement idea, thing that you did for herself, loved it, and then it turned into something else. And that's just two of so many women we could talk about right now that blessed the stage with the I Am the Boss conference, that really shared powerful situations. I mean, another one's Mandy Gilbert from Creative Niche. You know, she talks about starting her company with $10,000 and turned it into a $9 million business. At the time, it's even bigger now. Oh, and since then has opened up a school and multiple things, still in touch with her. Funny enough, found out my neighbor is her cousin. Small world. But these amazing women just had an idea, did something about it, and really decided to take it to the next level. And they did. And we all have challenges. They all talked about challenges. But what they also did was they shared how they came up with solutions. And some of them were humbling. You had to really humble yourself to ask for help or go in the direction that you needed to for your company, for your employees, to have that kind of success. And it really, again, comes down to, I believe, thinking outside the box and really saying, what do I need to do about this? And how can we find a solution? And that's another thing that taught me over and over again. There is always a solution. And sometimes you might not see it right away, but it's there. And it may not be conventional either.
It might be outside the box.
Right? Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And now, shifting gears a little bit, and we read this in your bio, you survived this near fatal car crash.
Yes.
And you consider it to be the wake-up call.
Yeah, so I actually joke sometimes on stage and I say it's my come to Jesus moment. Because what happened was life was really crazy. I was running the conference. I was doing all these different things. And it was one thing after another, literally during a very short period of time. Within 12 months, I lost my mother. I lost my father. We had a massive flood in the area at that time that basically filled our basement with 4 feet of sewage. And I luckily got my family photos out of that basement. And we literally just moved them in there because it was after my father passed away. Just moved them down there. And really, it really shook my entire family. My kids couldn't sleep for months every time it rained, thinking they were going to be drowned in their sleep. It was one thing after another. And as soon as things started to calm down, I thought, okay, we're back on track. We got the conferences going. We got this going. We've got all these great things happening. And I was building out my coaching business at that time. And then all of a sudden, beautiful day, going out, taking my kids to school. Both of them happened to be in the car with me and my mother-in-law. And a guy ran a stop sign. And if he had not swerved, he literally swerved, teed my car, and dragged me in the other direction. So when the police officer saw the way the cars were, he thought I hit him. But there was witnesses that saw what happened. So the fact is, if he had not swerved at that moment, we probably would not be here today. Right? So there's little miracles. I mean, but I got to tell you, it shook to the point that my daughter wouldn't let me leave and go in the car by myself. She would barricade the door and bawl her eyes out. So my kids also went through a lot during this entire period, but it was my wake up moment too. Why am I here? What am I doing? What am I supposed to be doing? Please help me. Yeah. And it was the first time I actually hired a coach. I realized I can't do this all myself. I don't have all the answers. I don't know anybody who does. So it was really about figuring out what are the steps I need to take. And I ended up hiring a coach. I had no income. We were in debt. I had no clients at that time. Life was just like, I'm ready to give up. And it was like, no, that's not the answer. We're not giving up. You're meant to be here. You got to do something. You got to figure this out. What is this supposed to be? And that's really when I took the coaching to the next level. And there was a lot of ups and downs, just like starting any kind of business or industry. And it was really also trusting in yourself. And that was my journey, was really trusting in myself and my knowledge. I had done so much. And it wasn't until somebody asked me to write down all the things I had done in my life. And I went, oh my God, look at that list. And it's often something I tell my clients to do because we forget about our accomplishments. We forget what we've done. And you start to add them up and make this list. And you're like, I really know a lot. I don't say I know everything, but I know a lot. And it's something that's shown up continuously in everything that I do. I don't go out and first I talk to someone and say, I know all these things, by the way. They come out as needed. Like even with coaching, I've been with clients and they're like, well, I need to do this. I said, no problem. I can help you with that. How can you help me with that? Oh, well, I did that in a past life. What do you mean you did that in a past life? Oh, honey, there's a lot of them. But let's focus on this one right now. Let me help you with this part. It's like, is there anything you haven't done? Not really. I think I've tried it all in some way or form. I mean, I worked for one of the top photographers in Toronto. I've worked for a web design company when they first started out. I have done things that when they first came out, I was a part of. And I really, I remember sitting down with that coach and forgetting all that I had done and not realizing the toolbox of information that I had that could help other people. And it was so big and so vast. There was the day that I realized, oh my God, this is why I need to coach, because I've lived it. I'm not just talking about I took a course. I lived it. So I can actually walk you through what it feels like, what it takes, what you need to do, get you solutions, strategies, because I had to, and I did it. And that's where the philosophy has always come in. If I can do it, you can do it.
No, that's fantastic. And then, so your signature online program is called Big Vision, Big Success.
Yes.
So talk about that. What will people gain by logging on to your signature course there?
Well, the signature course was actually designed because there was a lot of people that wanted to work with me that I wasn't in their budget. And so what I wanted to do was take exactly what I take my clients through and turn it into an online program. And that's exactly what it is. So step by step, what I do. And the first part, people say, well, is your focus vision? I said, no, but we got to start there. Because here's the deal. You may have a big vision. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I still need to know what to coach you. And if you hire a coach and they don't ask what your vision is, fire them right away. Seriously, that should be the first conversation somebody has with you if they're about to work with you. Where do you see yourself going? Where do you see your business going? And what that does is allow me to understand, first of all, is it big enough? And if it's not, we need to make it bigger. Because if it isn't big enough, it's not going to drive you. It's not going to motivate you. It's not going to keep you going. And you're really not going to be able to set up a really strong, powerful, strategic plan to take you where you want to go. And so that's the first place we always start. The next thing is your purpose that I go with. And it's really, and I'm only going to name the first four, but the purpose is, why are you doing this? So there's two types of purpose. The purpose I focus on first is, why did you start this business? Or why do you want to start this business? Because amazingly enough, it becomes your marketing, your story, everything that you need to promote what it is you do and to truly understand who your target market is. So that's the next key thing, right? And then it's the plan, the target market, strategies. We go through marketing. So it really depends on what the client needs, what they're coming to me with, what challenges. Sometimes, their business is going very well. And really what we need to do is kind of take a step back, look at what's going on, do another little dive, review things, and see what changes need to be made. So the course provides either approach. And it really does go through, there's 10 modules, 2 bonus modules, but really what it is about taking you back through those categories. So even if you purchase it and don't use all of them, but use 5 of them, you'll get the value. And it really is, what do you need? Maybe you don't need all of that. Maybe you need half of it. But I really take you step by step, what I do exactly with my clients, but this is in a very organized manner. So that's what you would get out of that.
That's great. And so kind of the theme of the show is that clarity is the starting point of success. Just from your experience, I know you probably touched on some of this, but what are some simple steps that some of our followers can take to gain some clarity as it relates to their business?
Well, the first thing is you have to be crystal clear on what it is you are doing. What kind of service or product are you providing? Where do you see your business going? Like, what is what is it you want to accomplish? What do you want to create? Don't worry about the naysayers and what all those people say to you. Tell them thank you for sharing and go off and do what you need to do. Because they're always going to have an opinion. And it's funny because no one actually gives me their opinion anymore unless I ask, because they realize I don't really want it. So you start to get like a thick shell, I guess. But to come back to that is really be crystal clear on what it is you want. And here's the thing is, don't think small. You can't think small. And I know thinking big sometimes scares people, but it's the only way to have the kind of success that you want. And so don't think about the how when you're doing this. Really think about, if I were, and I tell my clients this, I want you to imagine you're 3 years down the road. you're sitting beside the most important person in your entire life at that moment, and you turn to them and say, I did it. What did you do? Because then come back now, and I want you to make a list of the things you did. Because now that is your vision. That is your bullseye. That is what is going to drive you every day to keep going. And the only way to maintain that hands on the wheel driving, moving forward, is to have a big vision in front of you. That on those character building days, when you're ready to say, I'm done, you look up at that vision and go, yeah, that's why I'm doing it. Let's keep going. Because you're going to have character building days. Ted, Eric, you have character building days, right?
Oh, yeah.
Richard Branson has character building days. I don't care who you are, how much money you make. We all have character building days. And we all need something to drive us, keep us motivated and energized on those days, especially. But if you aren't crystal clear on that, here's the other part. You're not going to be able to create a plan. Can't create a plan without a vision. You're not going to be able to communicate well to other people what you do because you aren't clear on it. That's going to affect any kind of sales, communication, conversation you have. It's also going to affect your marketing, because if you're not crystal clear on what you're doing and you don't know who you're targeting, you're going to waste your money on marketing unless you know all those things. And any good marketer is going to say to you, what's your vision for your company? And if you don't have the answer and they want to work with you and take your money anyway, don't do it. Because without a vision, without understanding and having that clarity of what it is you want to accomplish and by when, then can you actually have the kind of success you're looking for? And a lot of people tell me they have a vision, and I ask them for it. And I'm like, where's the rest of it? In the nicest way at all, but I have to be short on this. Where's the rest of it? And you want to do all these things and help all these people, but if you don't have a big enough vision, you don't have the ability to create what you want. And if you don't have that, you can't make a plan to get there either. And if you're living on purpose, you have to be not attached to that plan because things will change. And when you're crystal clear, here's the other thing. Here's the gift you're going to give you right now. When you become so crystal clear on what it is you want and where you want to go, the doors will open for you everywhere. And I guarantee it because I've seen it. I've showed my clients. It's happened for me. When you're clear, when you understand what you want, when you can communicate it clearly, the doors will open for you. I promise you, I give you my word. But you have to be able to be willing to do the work. You have to be able to think of what that looks like. Come back, write that down. And here's the other thing. Take those big goals, and I want you to create bite-sized goals, small ones. So here's the thing with every goal. There's about 100 steps to get there, or maybe less. But if you don't have those steps written down underneath that big goal, how are you going to accomplish it? Because it's going to feel overwhelming and it's going to feel, I don't know if I can do this. And I've been there too. I don't know if I can do this. So it really is breaking those things into bite-sized pieces and then incorporating them into your day-to-day life. Because if you already have a business or a career or a job or whatever you want to call it, you can't stop working. You just got to carve out the time to keep moving all these things forward. And I know that's a longer probably solution than maybe you were looking for, but it's kind of hard to just say one thing. But your clarity, your vision, taking those steps, writing the information down, that's key.
I'm a Ted. Ted is our visionary guru here. I've got to let him chime in.
No, no, you're exactly right. I totally agree. And you always have to, and I tell everyone in any discussion, you always got to figure out where's there.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if not, you're just going to be just kind of all over the place, even in a meeting. Okay. What does success look like for us in this meeting? What are we trying to get accomplished? Like, what is there? If not, you'll have a bunch of people talking, they'll finish and like, man, that was a great meeting. And what did we get figured out? Nothing, absolutely nothing. But it was a great meeting, and there's some great ideas. Yeah, I mean, some great ideas. I got a chance to share some things. Some other people shared some things, but no actions came out of it, and you haven't moved the ball any closer to the goal.
And that's the challenge. There's a challenge in a lot of meetings, a lot of corporations. And I think this whole COVID and working from home has had them really realize that there are way too many meetings. There's way too many conversations that don't need to happen. And there are conversations that need to happen, but there needs to be clarity around it. Like if I'm coming to a meeting now or somebody wants to have a call with me, I need to know why. My time's valuable. Like honestly, when you guys messaged me, I went and researched you before I even responded. And then I liked even more that Eric was going to interview me before he put me live to make sure that I actually had value to bring to his, to your listeners, and that I actually knew what I was talking about and I wasn't full of woohoo or whatever. And that's what I did with anybody that came on my stage. I verified. It was my rep. It was my integrity. And you need to do that. It's really important to, one, verify, but also to come up with solid plans and solutions of what it is you want to do. Reduce the conversations, come up with action steps and goals and that vision. And really, it's amazing what gets accomplished. I've had clients accomplish their 3-year goals in half the time. Half the time. And they're like, we need to do another one. And here's the thing. And Ted, please, when you're creating a vision, you're creating your goals, understand that the more clarity you have, the faster you'll get there. And understand that as you grow, you need to revisit your vision. Because if you do not, you're going to get stuck because things will change. Things can change in 3 months. I've seen clients who've had goals, huge goals, didn't think they were going to happen for 3 years, was so clear, had a great conversation with somebody with a party, and one of their end goals was to own their salon. It happened in 6 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it really, my favorite conversation. Can you tell? Sorry.
That's good stuff.
Eric was like, am I going to have to pull stuff out of her? I'm like, no.
Good stuff.
You can go for another hour.
It's good stuff.
No, I mean, it's critical when you get clear and you really know, what you're trying to accomplish and start from that standpoint and then work backwards.
Yes. And it's not as easy as it sounds, is it?
It's simple, but it's not easy.
No, right? Like it's a really simple concept, but most of us don't do it very well. You know what? I am excellent at what I do. I have a full-time coach because I get in my own way as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you guys all what to do. No problem. I can help you get there. Easy peasy. So easy in my sleep. Yeah. But then I'll find myself at different times getting in my own way or blocking myself and going, oh my God, my coach just told me to do what I tell my clients to do. Like wake up and smell the coffee. Mm-hmm. But we all need that support. We're all human beings. We all, we get caught up in our day-to-day stuff. And we need to be reminded that that's okay. But now let's refocus. Let's get that clarity again. Let's set those action steps. Let's review our vision and let's move things forward.
I think the challenge is sometimes you're too close to the problem. Right.
Exactly.
And I can't tell you, Ted, I talk about this all the time. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this client. And then I'll talk to a coach or a mentor and he's like, well, what about this? And I'm like,
duh, right?
But I'm too close to it.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
And this is why we have mentors. This is why we have coaches. The most successful people in the world have multiple coaches, right? Even in sports, multiple coaches, right? PR, like what is that? What's that golf guy? Oh, I just lost Tiger Woods. I mean, he had a PR coach, he had a golf coach, he had a trainer, he had, like, you name it. And anybody who's successful or is doing well realizes they don't have all the answers and they need somebody to help get them see perspective at times, right? And really kind of get that success and get that vision and get it focused.
Absolutely. Well, we are at the Around the Horn portion of the program. Carolyn, this is Ted's favorite part of the show. This is where we each go and we talk about that one closing takeaway we want people to remember from this episode. So Carolyn, you're the guest of honor, so we'll have you go first. What is that final takeaway you want people to remember about this episode?
Don't listen to the naysayers. Anything is possible. Don't worry about the how. Just go after your dreams. The how will show up.
That's great. I mean, and you live that.
I do.
It's not like you're just saying something you read out of a book, right?
No.
Powerful.
Well, there goes my.
Did I leave you speechless, Ted?
There goes mine. Because I kind of was doing something like that, but thanks a lot, Carolyn Dickinson. Thank you so much for just let me
keeping you on your toes, honey. So now you got to come up with something else.
Something different. So, just my around the horn on this is it's your vision is your vision.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't have to worry about anyone else telling you that you can and all that. It's your vision. So if you think you can do it, that's it. I mean, it's like with faith and fight. I mean, you can just accomplish whatever it is that you set your mind to doing.
Yeah.
And you just can't let anyone say to you that you can't. So it's your vision. The clarity of it's key. It's but it can change. You can revisit it, but at the end of the day, it's yours, and no one can take that from you.
100%.
Oh, that's great. So my around the horn, it has to do with just all of the opposition, Carolyn, that you faced on your journey, just from childhood now. And I've just learned that for me, opposition is confirmation. Right. Whenever people are telling me, you can't do this, you can't do that, that for me, that's confirmation that I can do it. And it's also confirmation that it's something meaningful. Because if it wasn't, there wouldn't be the opposing force. Like I think if you're watching us and you don't have any opposition, you don't have any haters, everybody's always patting you on the back, you probably aren't stretching.
That's right.
Right. You're probably in the comfort zone.
Yep. Yeah. And that's a bad place to be. Don't be in the comfort zone. I haven't been comfortable in years.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, I've noticed, right? It's like, it's never the Carolyns that are telling me I can't do something.
No.
It's never the people that are actually in the arena doing it. It's never the Teds that are saying it. It's always the people that aren't doing it that are telling me that I can't do it.
That's right.
I mean, it's a trend I've noticed, right?
No, totally.
It's their insecurities. It's their own insecurities, their own inability to have confidence in themselves to do something. And so it's just so much easier not to encourage you. Yeah. I have friends that are 10 times more successful than I am. And I am so excited every time something new happens for them, because I have my own successes. I have my own goals. And just because they're different doesn't make them bad or good. Some people want to make $1 million. Some people will be happy to make $100,000 a year. If that's your goal, it's okay. And you may change it later on, but if that's your goal right now, then do what it takes to get there. And then once you're there, if you want to add something else or do something else, you just go right ahead and do it. And by the way, when you have that kind of goal, as long as it's set, a lot of times I've seen it double and they didn't even try.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially when someone tells you that you can't do something, it's just, they're not built for it.
That's right.
I mean, that's really, they're not built for it. They're not willing to work as hard as you're willing to work to accomplish whatever it is. Right. And so that's what they're saying. There's no way you're going to make it to the Olympics. There's no way that you're going to have a company to do whatever it is, or no way you're going to make it to Major League Baseball, whatever. I mean, they're just not built for it.
I tell my clients to tell anybody who says anything like that to them, thank you so much for sharing. I'll keep that in mind.
That's it. Thank you for that encouragement.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's not even encouragement. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind. That's it. You know what? I guarantee that you'll also shut them down in the nicest, most polite possible way. They're like, wait, is she listening to me? Yeah, I am. Okay, now I'm going to go over here and do something else.
That's it. What you said just went in one ear and out the other. So.
And it has to, because there's always, and sometimes it's the closest people in your world. I'll be honest, and God rest his soul, my father's passed, but he was, very negative. But his philosophy was that it was to be cruel to be kind. If I tell you can't do something, you're going to do it anyway. So I used to hear how stupid I was by my father. And for him, as an adult, I understand it was like, you're stupider than I thought you were, because it was going to force me to do better. It was going to make me want to prove him wrong. And that was his way of doing things. Would I do it that way? No. Did it encourage me? No. I don't encourage anybody to do that, but I understand it. And the thing is, sometimes it's going to be the person that's closest to you that says something like that. Understand they just don't get it. Yeah. And they can't see themselves doing something like that. So please don't let that stop you from truly going after what you want to do in your dream.
Great. Yeah, this has been an inspirational episode of the 30-Minute Hour podcast. I told you, if you came to this podcast with some excuses and limiting beliefs as to why you can't do something, if you listen to what Carolyn shared, you're gonna go ahead and make it happen.
You can.
Yeah, for sure, you can do it.
The three of us are telling you, you can.
You can do it.
That's right.
You can do it.
You can do it.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, as you can see, this is not your everyday podcast. If you got value today, please make sure you share the show. Don't keep us a secret. Share it with your network so they can get the value that you gain. Don't forget, you can check us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, YouTube, and you can go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts from your mobile device. That's our show for today. And until next time.
1 second, Eric, and maybe I missed it. Did Carolyn let them know all the ways that they can reach Carolyn?
Yeah, we didn't do that, did we?
No, you weren't. I wasn't asked. I was waiting for it. I'm like, what's he asking it for?
Let's circle back.
It must be almost dinner. It must be almost dinner time, Carolyn.
Yeah.
Like,
oh man.
Oh, honey, it's 8 o'clock for me.
Yeah, Carolyn, tell them how
can the people connect with you.
So actually, I'm going to give your viewers an offer as well, a little one. It's actually a complimentary offer. So first of all, if you want to get in touch with me or you'd like to chat with me or find out more about what I offer, please go to www.carolyndickinson.com. And you can see my name underneath my picture so that it'll help you spell it correctly. And again, www.carolyndickinson.com. So if you go to my website, there's lots of stuff on there that you can see and check out, courses, one-to-one, all kinds of stuff. There's also a page that has free stuff. We like to give away free stuff, downloads that can help you. Our success map, which is around scheduling, which is also something I'm very good at on the many things that I do. But what I'm going to offer your group over the next couple weeks, if you make sure you get in, whether it's this month, next month, but you got to book it, you can sign up for complimentary 30-minute discovery session with me. What those are is the entire pretty much 30 minutes is of giving you value, what it is I can offer you, chatting with you, finding out what your biggest challenge is your vision big enough? And at the end of it, if we both think it's something that I can help you with and you are looking for someone to support you in that, then we can talk about next steps and what that might look like for you. And see if it makes sense for us to work together. If not, you're walking away with 30 minutes of value. So take advantage of it on pretty much any one of my pages. You can go to the bottom and click book an appointment with me. You'll get access to my schedule and you'll be able to book a session with me.
Look at that. 30 minutes of value on the 30-minute hour podcast.
I'll tell you.
Would you
that was awesome.
Look at that.
It's all lined up.
That was awesome. You know what? If you'd asked me, I don't even think it would have worked out as well as it did. It was perfect.
I like what you're doing there, Carolyn Dickinson. I like what you're doing.
No, that's great. And we'll put that in the show notes so people can access that. But I'm telling you, you need to take advantage of this opportunity. A free 30-minute coaching session. It's something that can change your life, get you that clarity that we've been talking about. We all have blind spots. You need a Carolyn in your life to help you navigate this thing and to get to your goal. And make sure you're thinking along the right lines. Thank you, Ted, for keeping us on track.
That's right. Carolyn, I've only heard it like 100 and how many episodes?
9.
Yeah, I was like, something's missing.
Well, I was like,
she didn't get no website. She didn't get a chance to send no email. Right. That's all right.
No, we got it.
That's right. All right, Ted. High five.
Cool. Definitely check out our offer. Make sure you take advantage of it. Anything else, Ted, before we sign off?
No. No,
We
I
did it.
think everything it was covered. Thank you again, Carolyn. And yeah, it
Thank
was
you for
just an
having
amazing
me.
time.
Yes, absolutely. We thank you for being our guest and sharing what you shared and inspiring our audience.
My pleasure.
Until next time, have a great one.
Care.